Exclusive from Demos Records.
Hiya, hiya, hiya.
Yes, entertainment.
Baby, you know the making.
Why them with another one? If you get the money, take you help your brother. If you know thank God, you go end up for God. Brother make you find work, or you remain the suffer. Only my hand, yo, we make come together. If I do you bad, yo, if I do you good, yo, if I promise and fail, yo, if I do you good, yo, man I am jangling, tell me Jenny come on. In a winter, bunny come on. Man I am jangling, yummy tangy come on. In a jumping, tell me come on, tell me come on. Anywhere you dey, make you live your life, yo, live your life. Anywhere you dey, say make you show the light, yo, show the light. If you get the money, make you help your brother. If you know thank God, you go end up for God. Brother make you find work, or you remain the suffer. Only my hand, yo, we make come together. If I do you bad, yo, if I do you good, yo, if I promise and fail, yo, if I do you good, yo, man I am jangling, tell me Jenny come on. In a winter, bunny come on. Man I am jangling, yummy tangy come on. In a jumping, tell me come on, tell me come on. Man I am jangling, tell me Jenny come on. In a winter, bunny come on. Man I am jangling, yummy tangy come on. In a jumping, tell me come on, tell me come on.
Mr. K Mix.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome. Tonight we draft Donga Mantung, county. I think that's the county of the notorious Ngala Gerard. We have something we're going to be talking about him this evening, but that's not the cause for concern. Interestingly, we've seen the Ambazonian State Army all across the national territory, remarkably yesterday and today morning in Fako and Victoria in great form. That's amazing. That's what we wanted. Just at the time when Congo and the Cameroon and the French Cameroon government is reinforcing their intruders into the national territory of Ambazonia with the intention to organize a fake election. As they are struggling to do that election, the people of Ambazonia are determined to resist it. My question to those who are insisting that they must organize an election in a sovereign territory that's not having an election, like in Ambazonia, is, don't you see what is happening? Both sides are ready to have a military election. There's something I said before and I like to repeat, and it's a reality. Whether you like it or not, it is not whether you even agree. You don't need to agree. You have two authorities in Cameroon, in the southern Cameroons. One is the legitimate authority, which is headed by the federal government of Ambazonia in exile, the government of the southern Cameroon in exile. The other authority, which is an intruder in Ambazonia, is the southern Cameroons. It is Bia's government. And that's why we call them the colonial authorities. Here is the fact. The fact is that these two authorities are effectively represented on the ground with guns. While one is trying to conduct an illegal election, the other is trying to maintain territorial integrity. What tells us that the ground is not conducive for any of such activity at this given moment. So you better advise yourself. The same way the government advised parents to choose if their children will have to go to school or if the environment is safe. We are just about a few weeks away for you to make that determination. If it is safe enough for you to carry an Elecam registration card or to go to any of the polls for any form of an election. Donga Mantung is drafting today because they want to make sure that there's going to be no election in Ndu. Even Gala Gerard's vigilante will not help you. So that's going to be the focus of our conversation this afternoon or this evening. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia had an impromptu emergency APP and discussed a lot of things related to diplomacy. We want to begin in that delight by processing what is happening around the world before we get into Donga Mantung. Stay tuned. We'll be back with our analysis.
The release of a new Hamas hostage video timed with Israel's escalating assault on Gaza City highlights the dual battle unfolding in the war. One fought with airstrikes and ground operations, and another waged through propaganda and public opinion. While Israeli forces advance militarily, the footage of two captives above ground serves as a reminder of the human stakes driving calls for a ceasefire and negotiations. The development raises a pressing question. Can Israel achieve its stated war goals without further endangering hostages? And how much longer can Gaza's civilian population withstand the siege? Now, taking you over to Ambazonia, President Sako had an emergency meeting where he spoke about diplomacy and a lot unfolding. And then he highlighted this recognition to us that Ambazonia is having a wide recognition in the world. But then what are the stakes? What do we hope for? And what are we going to see in the days ahead? With all this, I welcome you to the Global News. I am Tabitha Akor. Let's begin.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices.
Let our fallen heroes and heroines guide and shield our men and women. Let their ultimate sacrifice be the reason we change the game and give our enemies what they have been giving us. Ambazonia needs to protect its people from the terrorist troops of La République du Cameroon. The time is now to do just that.
We are enough, so let's draft, and draft. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It's time for Donga Mantung County.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices.
Let our fallen heroes and heroines guide and shield our men and women. Let their ultimate sacrifice be the reason we change the game and give our enemies what they have been giving us. Ambazonia needs to protect its people from the terrorist troops of La République du Cameroon. The time is now to do just that.
We are enough, so let's draft, and draft. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It's time for Donga Mantung County.
Europe calls for the recognition of Palestinian state, but the U.S. made a statement to the contrary. All this has been followed with visa refusal for Palestinian leaders and delegates at the September summit. Marco Rubio has made a statement. Let's take a listen.
They pay people to kill Israelis. We have problems with them too. Obviously, Hamas is at a different category, but we have problems. Look, we told all these countries, we told them all. We said, if you guys do this recognition stuff, it's all fake. It's not even real. If you do it, you're going to create big problems. There's going to be a response from Israel. You're going to make it harder to get a ceasefire, and it may even trigger these sorts of actions that you've seen, or at least these attempts at these actions. So we're watching it closely. I'm not going to opine on it today, other than to tell you that we predicted this would happen. We warned everybody it would happen. But nonetheless, some of these people decided they wanted to move forward with something that's illusory. Right now, we should be focused on how do we end this war in Gaza? How do you eliminate Hamas? How do you disarm Hamas? That war could end tomorrow if Hamas just disarmed and surrendered and released the 20 hostages, which shouldn't even be there. Would end. Hamas refuses to do that. So, but that said, we don't like the humanitarian suffering. We've offered a lot of aid. We've provided a lot of aid. We're prepared to provide aid now, and we're prepared to provide a lot of aid after the war ends as well.
Still on the Israel and Hamas ceasefire, Hamas on Friday published a video showing 2 Israeli hostages in Gaza City, a move seen as an attempt to sway public opinion as Israel's military pushes deeper into the enclave. The 4-minute clip features Guy Gilboa Dalal and Alan O'Hell, both held for nearly 2 years. Filmed in a car moving through the city. The footage, verified by CNN, appears to have been shot last week and shows the men embracing after unexpectedly meeting. It was one of the rare instances where hostages were recorded above ground. Now we see that the release coincided with the 700th day of the war, marked by nationwide protests in Israel calling for a ceasefire and a deal to bring hostages home. Families of captives repeated calls for negotiations, warning that further military escalation could endanger those still held in Gaza. Israel's government has rejected recent proposals brokered by Qatar and Egypt, insisting that only a comprehensive agreement involving the release of all hostages and the disarmament of Hamas would be acceptable. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed not to let videos or public pressure shift Israel from its war objectives. But what are the stands? Let's take a listen.
Israel has let in more than 2 million tons of aid into Gaza. That's 1 ton of aid per person. And by the way, Hamas stole much of it. And Israel has sent millions of text and phone messages to Palestinian civilians urging them to get out of harm's way. Hamas shoots these civilians when they try to leave, and they do so in order to use the civilian population as human shields. That's a war crime. These arrest warrants and false charges against Israel are a travesty of justice. And that's why President Trump and Secretary Rubio have issued sanctions on Karim Khan and the other corrupt ICC officials for their malign activities. Thank you, America, for holding the ICC accountable. Because if Israel is prevented from fighting terrorism, no democracy is safe.
Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's reactions right there. But we see the health authorities in Gaza reported at least 7 children killed in overnight airstrikes on Thursday. As the Israel Defense Forces said, it now controls 40% of Gaza City and more than 70% of the wider territory. Officials said the assault will intensify in coming days, with nearly 1 million Palestinians expected to be displaced. Humanitarian groups describe the situation as catastrophic. UNICEF warned that Gaza City has become a place where childhood cannot survive, while hospital workers reported treating dozens of injured children after overnight bombardments. Now, despite Israeli evacuation orders, fewer than 10% of Gaza City's estimated 1 million residents have fled. Just like we see in the media, many say they prefer to face death in their homes rather than endure further displacements. Shortages of water, medicine, and cash have worsened the crisis. But Benjamin Netanyahu has refuted these claims. There have been provisions of food in Gaza. However, international reaction is mounting. In Paris, European Commission Vice President Teresa Ribera accused the bloc of failing to act against what she described as genocide in Gaza. The first time a senior EU official has issued the term. Israel's foreign ministry dismissed the remarks as baseless. Now we see that the Hostages and Missing Families Forum said the video underscores the urgency of reaching a deal. The group maintains that ongoing offensive without precise knowledge of hostage locations put the captives at greater risk. President Trump has called for the immediate release of hostages. Let's take a listen.
We're in very deep negotiation with Hamas. We said, let them all out right now, let them all out. And much better things will happen for them. But if you don't let them all out, it's going to be a tough situation. It's going to be nasty. That's my opinion. Israel's choice, but that's my opinion. They got to let them out. You got 20 plus, you have about 38 dead people, young, beautiful, dead people. And I'll tell you, the parents want them every bit as much, almost more, than as if their son or daughter were alive. But you have many dead people that are coming out as part of the deal. It's 20 people, but I think of the 20, there could be some that have recently died, is what I'm hearing.
Well, as Israeli troops close in, Gaza City faces mounting casualties, deepening humanitarian collapse, and growing international scrutiny. So while we talk about the release of hostages, we're also talking about the level of starvation in Gaza. But we hope that the ceasefire deals get to happen, and then we get to see a proper way out of this war. Now, I'm taking you over to Ambazonia. From the home front, in an emergency meeting, President Sako defended his leadership and urged Ambazonians to remain united as the movement prepares for the Ambazonian Strategic Assembly in September. President Sako said the assembly would be a pivotal moment to select delegates to represent constituencies, stressing that decisions of national importance should be made in person rather than virtually. He warned against internal divisions, noting that the revolution belongs to the people, not to an individual. The president dismissed threats of resignation from members, stating that no one's departure would derail the struggle. He emphasized that those who once doubted the movement now acknowledge its regained respect. President Sako also highlighted efforts towards securing the release of the Kansas City tray, including engaging legal associations, providing stipends to families, and publishing advocacy material. He insisted that claims of inaction on the matter were unfounded. He called on Ambazonians to gather in Kansas City on October 1st in solidarity and to channel support through the national treasury. According to him, the revolution is sustained by conviction and will only end in victory. That's a strong word right there from the president. Now, I'm taking you over to Africa in Democratic Republic of Congo. Farmers are returning to Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo after fleeing M23 rebel advances are finding their land occupied by newcomers, including Rwandans, in a development that risks undermining fragile peace efforts. The disputes have emerged months after Rwanda and Congo signed a U.S. brokered peace deal in June. Talks between Congo and M23 rebels in Doha were expected to produce an agreement in August, but were delayed, leaving tensions unresolved. Now, the situations right here we are having recently, but then let's have a date back. Take a listen.
So we're here today to celebrate a glorious triumph, and that's what it is, for the cause of peace. And this is a long time waiting, the signing of a historic peace agreement between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and the Republic of Rwanda. The conflict has continued, and it's been going on for many, many years. It's been going from, I guess they say 30 years. The Great Lakes region of Africa for a long time, and maybe even a time before that. How is the Great Lakes region? Must be beautiful, right? Beautiful region, but they had a lot of war, right? A lot of fighting, a lot of death. It's displaced countless people and claimed the lives of thousands and thousands. But today, the violence and destruction comes to an end, and the entire region begins a new chapter of hope and opportunity, harmony, prosperity, and peace.
This was supposed to be a new chapter of hope, but what's happening? We see that unpublished UN data seen by Reuters document hundreds of land disputes in the region, prompting M23 rebels to establish an arbitration center to manage cases. Analysts warn that unresolved land conflicts could fuel renewed violence, particularly in a territory where strategic minerals such as coltan, cobalt, copper, and lithium are mined. The rebel coalition alliance Fru Congo, which includes M23, has attempted to portray itself as a governing authority by dismantling displacement camps and encouraging residents to return. However, returnees report finding their homes destroyed and farmland seized. A February-March survey by the UN Refugee Agency identified 200 families in Goma who said they could not access their farmland, often because it had been taken over. Around 10% of those surveyed reported being blocked from their land. The presence of Rwandan nationals on Congolese farmland remains a sensitive issue. A July UN report also alleged that Rwanda exercised command and control over M23 and sought to expand its territorial influence, a claim Kigali denies. Rwanda has acknowledged deploying forces in eastern Congo but says they act only in self-defense against Congo's army and ethnic Hutu militias. Meanwhile, M23 rebel officials insist most newcomers are Congolese Tutsis who fled to Rwanda during earlier violence and returned fearing attacks from Hutu militias. They deny an organized campaign to seize land, but admit some abuses have occurred. We see that the dispute underscore the fragility of peace efforts in eastern Congo, where violence has killed thousands and displaced hundreds of thousands this year alone. Mediators say the issue of land rights will need to be addressed directly in upcoming negotiation if peace is to hold. Now, this is a critical one. While a peace deal has been signed, we are looking forward to having this whole issue and dispute being solved. We hope that in the coming days and as the story develops, we get more information as to this, and we'll definitely bring you up to speed with the details. Now, this is where we'll be handing it over to Star Smart.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
Barrister Fru, Barrister Mbeseha, Dr. Tata, you're welcome. Your visit to this platform is rare and it's quite interesting, at least when you're counting. A lot of people in ABC, they just know the never say who is working behind the scene. We are delighted to have you. So, but you bear with us. I want to talk to these legal minds here because they have their ideas on what they've just heard now. Now, it was yesterday and the president came with a lot of energy during the APP. Onye is going to give us some details of the president's speech in a few minutes. But we noticed that there was a need to look at the scope of global politics, the partnership alliances, and the way things are turning around, to do some kind of comparative analysis, which is necessary with Ambazonia. Tonight, Ambazonia is trying to hold the ground so that we are going into the negotiation table, like the president said, strong. But look at what's happening in Gaza. Look at what the side America is taking. Whatever Europe and Canada are promising is not getting traction. Look at what is happening in Congo. Even the negotiation was probably just on a paper. Nothing is actualized. I want both of you to speak interchangeably and briefly on this issue so that we can get into Donga Mantung. I'll begin with you, Fru.
Well, Paddy, the president's speech left me encouraged but confused because of the global realignment. That said, I slept very well last night because I've seen the light in the tunnel. But, you know, nothing is done until it is done. When we heard about the accord between Congo and Rwanda, we were excited. It is not enough to put an accord and the parties sign without an implementation strategy. The Rwandan rebels are still occupying parts of Congo, and that's not good. It doesn't speak well of that negotiation that was put on the table. But I would like to listen to what Tasman has to say about what the president said yesterday before we can continue the debate in knowing the
in
intricacies.
his cricket sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Stasimara Onye will come with that. We'll first of all talk about Ngala Gerard before we get to that. You know, the wise thing in an occasion, you give what they call appetizer before you get to the main thing. Barrister Mbeseha. Barrister Mbeseha, are you there, please?
Okay. Thank you for having me. You know, the last segment, which is something international, worldwide, always reminds us that we are not alone. It reminds us that the international scene is very complex, actually complex. So we should not be surprised what is going on in Ambazonia. Let me just take an illustration of what has been highlighted in the last segment. Palestine, Hamas, Israel. That's one of the most complex problems in the world.
Correct.
Better than ours, because it involves all the international actors, United Nations, America, and Europe as a bloc. And so if you see what they're going through there, it tells us that we have to tighten our belt. Now, this is Hamas. Hamas is not representative of Palestine. There's a Palestinian delegation at the United Nations. They've been sitting there forever. They are a non-voting member of the United Nations. So fighting Hamas, a group in Palestine, just like fighting Joe Ayaba, should not the government of Palestine. Just sits in New York. But see, they're trying to make all things look like they're the same. They're not the same. America may support Israel, and they are supporting Israel full-heartedly. But they themselves are embarrassed by the eyes Europe, saying that we shall recognize Palestine. I find President Trump say, I don't know. What don't you know? What don't you know? And so I'm just giving you an illustration for us to know where we are coming, where we're heading to. You see, the Prime Minister of Israel has been indicted by the ICC. That's the fact. The indictment is on seal, it's publicly. But if an American trying to veto, America themselves, they are not members of the ICC. But
correct.
Vetoing that thing.
They have nothing to say.
And let us bring it back to us. See, what they are doing there is, what they are all talking there is psychological. It's not fighting the physical war on the ground. The British, the French are not fighting to help Palestine. They are not in Gaza, but they are waging a psychological war. Who has the morality to speak? Who is encouraged by what we say? And that will tell us, let me end it, bringing it to Ambazonia. We are Ambazonians. Talk of the president holding a last-minute meeting to tell us that it is urgent. We should prepare for something diplomatic. The war in Ambazonia is being fought. People are dying. But also have to fight the moral part of it, the psychological part of the war, which we must win. And this takes me to something that has never been addressed. I've heard Ambazonians, all Ambazonians, good number, not the people, not the Americans, not Nigerians, complain. Oh, they call this thing President, His Excellency, all this. As if calling President Sako or you or me Excellency hurts anybody. How does it hurt me? It doesn't hurt me. But this does it hurt somebody? It hurts somebody else, it hurts the enemy. Because it's psychological warfare. They call him Excellency President Pobia. We also say Excellency, our president call his own name. It's a moral booster. It takes nothing from Ambazonians as individuals fighting the war. But it hurts the enemy. It hurts the opponent to hear that you also have a president. You address president. You also have a leader you call Excellency. They also have a leader, he gives those very honors they give to DS. Just honors. It's not giving you a dime. And so again, we have to fight this war as we progress. I know we're coming to analyze what the president said, but taking from the international scene, what has just been analyzed, particularly about Palestine, about Hamas, about tunnels, and so on and so forth, to what we are doing now. Now, you see, moral warfare. Hamas has even shown pictures of their people captured to go into tunnels with them. They are living in tunnels. They're just telling the world morally, this is where we live. Let these people live with us too and feel the pain of the occupation. Let them live with us and feel the pain of the occupation. Just like this in Ambazonia. You see them, if you watch social media, the whole cry now over Equinox, over CRTV, is that 7 of their soldiers died in Malende. That's
in
the big
Malende.
Yes, that's the big cry.
We're coming to that
Only
by some
7.
very quickly.
No, let me land. Only 7. And they're crying. No, they must cry about thousands that have died in
The point is, the reason they are crying for that is not because it's only 7. We have thousands, hundreds that are dying. But it's because this one, they could not hide it. They could not hide it from the media.
So they are crying 7. That is a big number. None of them cried when they took a whole pickup truck and carried our own children from Pinyin. They were killed in Formation, orally massacred. And so I'm saying I'm driving to the point that is psychological. Feel the pain, at least psychologically. Most of them don't even know those 7 boys who died, but it's hurting them. And so we use the same techniques to tell our own people we are also winning. If those 7 mean nothing to anybody, they mean nothing to the. They mean something to the morale of our own troops. They mean something to our own morale. That they too are dying. These things are not the only victims. Let the funds and the chiefs drive to Richard Palace. Let the bishops and the pastors go to meet Ngongo. We will not clean up that stain of people who died in Malende. We will not clean up that stain of the people they killed in Pinyin, and so on and so forth. Over to you.
By some just so that's why I'm trying to cut you, because we're going to get back to that, so we don't duplicate efforts on the time and what we have to say. Doctor, I am coming back to you. I want to talk on something very important right now that has to do with someone very notable in your community, and who is Ngala Gerard. Before I make any or say any word about the things that he's been able to do, let's find out what that smart has to say.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices.
Let our fallen heroes and heroines guide and shield our men and women. Let their ultimate sacrifice be the reason we change the game and give our enemies what they have been giving us. Ambazonia needs to protect its people from the terrorist troops of La République du Cameroon. The time is now to do just that.
We are enough, so let's draft, and draft. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It's time for Donga Mantung County.
Well, thank you, Mr. Paddy. We're taking a look at the face of betrayal, and we see that at the heart of every liberation struggle, history records not only the bravery of freedom fighters, but also the treachery of those who lend their strength to the oppressor. Now, in southern Cameroon's Ambazonia, where for over 8 years the people have resisted colonial domination, Sadly, figures like Ngala Gerard stand as glaring reminders that betrayal often comes from within. Though a son of Donga Mantung County by origin, Ngala Gerard has risen as a staunch defender of the colonial regime in Yaoundé, securing his position not as a voice of the oppressed, but as a gatekeeper for the French hegemony and the system that has brutalized his own people. While Ngala Gerard is presented in the colonial narrative as a representative of the people of Nkambe. Yet his loyalty has never been to Ambazonia. Instead, he has functioned as a proxy enforcing decrees and narratives from Yaoundé while selling an image of leadership to the very communities that are bleeding under the weight of war crimes and oppression. Like so many before him, Ngala Gerard has chosen personal gain, political positioning, and colonial protection over the genuine aspiration of self-determination that his people have fought and died for. Now, this is not new across history. We see colonizers have always found local intermediaries to enforce their control. But in Ambazonia, the betrayal cuts deeper because those who betray do so at the cost of lives, villages, and the dignity of an entire nation. Well, the betrayal of Ngala Gerard was made most evident in so many scenarios, but then specifically during the tragic events of February 11th in Undu, when reporters confirmed that a vigilante group under his watch was directly involved in planting an improvised explosive device, an IED, instead of shielding his people from harm. We saw in that particular news that Ngala Gerard and his vigilantes became active participants in staging violence to sustain the colonial narrative of chaos and justify further militarization of Ambazonian lands. Well, this act went beyond collaboration. It was an outright declaration of war against his own people, rather than standing against the colonial and continued killings, arbitrary arrest and displacement of thousands across Donga Mantung County and beyond. Ngala Gerard and his proxies actively contributed to the machinery of destruction. In the eyes of Ambazonians, this marks him as not merely complicit, but a willing tool in the colonial playbook. A pattern of proxies we see as Ngala Gerard is not alone as well. He is part of a long line of individuals who wear the cloak of Ambazonian origin, but wield it against their own communities. Well, these proxies sit in colonial parliaments, head colonial councils, and maintain vigilante groups, all serving to fracture Ambazonian unity, silence dissenting voices, and legitimize the ongoing occupation. But just as the Germans once used forced labor to build roads in Mbem, and just as Britain used indirect rule to impose chiefs while excluding educated elites, the French Cameroon colonial regime today uses men like Ngala Gerard as instruments of subjugation. Their betrayal sustains the oppression, fuels propaganda, and attempts to paint the struggle for liberation as illegitimate. But for Ambazonians, the verdict on betrayal is clear, that no amount of colonial decrees, proxy positions, or vigilante groups can erase the fact and the truth that these so-called leaders have turned against their homeland. Gerard's action in Undu will be remembered not as a service to his people, but as a service to the enemy. His choices symbolize the painful reality that some amongst Ambazonians, given the opportunity to stand with the oppressed, instead to choose to stand with the oppressor. Well, as the Ambazonian War of Liberation advances into 2026, the role of collaborators like Ngala Gerard must and has to be exposed for what it is, which is treachery in service of the enemy. History will not absolve those who betray their nation for personal gain. While their actions may inflict wounds, they cannot extinguish the determination of Ambazonians to reclaim their sovereignty. In every generation, traitors rise, but so too do patriots. For every Gerard, there are countless Ambazonians, genuine Ambazonians who refuse to bow, who resist with courage, and who ensure that the struggle for self-determination will not be silenced by betrayal. Well, with this, now I hand it over to you, Mr. Paddy King, to delve even deeper into more list of atrocities caused by people the likes of Ngala Jared and so many others. Over to you now, Mr. Tarh.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
Yeah, we just watched the start. Our minds have just been refreshed of the start reality on the ground. Dr. Tata, I'll give the mic to you first before we get to the lawyers and get to the final phase of this segment of the program. You're welcome from Donga Mantung as the official representation here present. But how is Donga Mantung coping when a son of the soil goes to this length to serve the interest of the occupier? Please talk to us, Dr. Tata.
Yeah, thank you so much. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, very
Can
loud.
you hear me? Thank you so
Yes,
much,
very
and
loud.
I want to thank God for the chairperson, Chairman Ruel, that have given me the opportunity to represent the county in this show. First of all, we in Donga Mantung, we are not measuring on the negatives. The negatives of people that are trying to drag us backward, but we are forward marchers. We focus on the positive of our founding fathers like Reverend Andose from Ande, who was a nationalist and who stood for the right thing. And history will remember him for that. We focus on the positive people like Dr. Ngwan Gubne that led the delegation to the Banjul that declared the outcome was the Banjul Declaration that said that we are a people. We're not just English speaking, but we're a people. All right. And we remembered one of our founding fathers, Ndi. It will go into history. Those are people that collaborated together with Dr. Endele, and while the other people voted the other side, the people from my county, they voted not to join La République. Anyway, today we are focusing on the Gideon's side of it. I want to address our people in Donga Mantung that we are on the Gideon side and that they should not be left behind because we will soon get to Boya. And if we do not join now, don't be surprised. When we get to Boya, the records are very, very clear. I just want to make a rundown that Donga Mantung was founded, it was created in 1960, and it has a 4,224 square kilometers. 4,224 square kilometers.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can
we're
hear
gonna
you.
we're gonna do start editorials. I think Star Smart prepared something like that. I think I'm very happy with the preamble of your conversation because you are kind of illuminating. Please, those co-hosts in the Zoom, there are a lot of people coming in, and maybe you want to admit them in the Zoom, please. Just don't forget that you have to admit people coming in, please. So. You have said some very remarkable things. I understand this history of Donga Mantung, which is important. But right now, you realize that the legacy of the names you just mentioned, those who joined Professor Ayim, who is here today, Endele to vote, because Donga Mantung was one of those who voted that who voted what you have just mentioned. But you had Professor Ayib, who is in the Zoom meeting right now, was one of those who fought for the Banju case that we won. But this legacy that they built, you have people in Gala Gerard are working so tirelessly because of greed, wickedness to destroy. And they go to the extra length of killing their own people. Why? I'm going to hear from you what the county is actually doing to neutralize this French Cameroon's strategy of dividing to conquer the people. I want to hear from you, Barrister Fru, this bad conduct of Ngala Gerard. Please talk to us.
Yes, Paddy, you might want to know that Gerard Ngala lived in Bonaberi, where I lived. He is not very far from my house. He has built a wonderful palace from the ill-gotten wealth of betrayal, brutal betrayal of the people of the Southern Cameroons. I want to continue. Before I continue, let me pay homage to two very important people that Dr. Tata did not mention in his list. You have Palamfu and Paddy, whom I had the singular opportunity, me and Barrister Taku, to defend in Bamenda when they hosted the Ambazonian flag in Bamenda. That's to tell you that the patriots of Donga Mantung were at the forefront of this fight. Having said that, we have one major enemy of Donga Mantung, Gerard Ngala. He does not live in Donga Mantung. Let me inform the world, let them know, let everybody know that this guy lives in Bonaberi. He has built himself a palace, a sophisticated palace in Bonaberi, not far from where my house is. And this is a result of the betrayal of the people of Donga Mantung. His hands are red with the blood of children of Donga Mantung, where he and his vigilante group planted dynamite in the school where the children were maimed. Some even died because of La République du Cameroon. The question is, how does Donga Mantung neutralize this guy? You are not, Paddy, you are not going to ask Donga Mantung to fight alone to neutralize this guy who has built himself an empire from the ill-gotten wealth of selling our blood to La République du Cameroon. He lives in Bonaberi and goes to Donga Mantung only when there are occasions. He has his agents on the ground who do the planting of all those dynamite, who do the heavy lifting in Cambe. It's only in Cambe. I don't know whether he has decided to do or other places, but in Cambe, where the military garrison is, he is being protected by that military garrison, where you have all the sophisticated weapons of the army of the Federal Republic of La République du Cameroon. And it is not the task of only Donga Mantung to handle Ngala Gerard. The government of the Southern Cameroon would handle, let me finish. The government of the Southern Cameroon will handle Ngala appropriately when the time comes. We are not going to relent until we get him, because he has used the citizens of Cambe and generally the citizens of Donga Mantung to amass wealth for himself, and in that case he is a brutal betrayer with blood in his hands. That is Ngala Gerard.
I think it cannot be said any less with this same emotion you have said like this, by Sako. I can understand the pain of he is supposed to be a lawyer like you and Barrister Mbeseha. but it's unfortunate.
He never practiced law. Hey, Paddy, hold on. He was admitted as a stagiaire. I don't know whether he was ever admitted in the bar fully, but he is not practicing law. He's a contractor for La Republic of Cameroon, and he has amassed a colossal wealth from La Republic of Cameroon by betraying his people in Cameroon.
Yeah. So you see, Barrister Mbeseha, we are faced with a very critical situation. And like you see, Barrister Fru is saying, the people of Donga, not later than today, need the people of Ambazonia to ensure that this man is neutralized. This is someone who has taken out his time to recruit armed men, like Atanganji did, have his own Atanganji boys. Ngalajera has his own Atanganji boys, and he has gone to the extent of hiring armed contractors from Nigeria to enforce the Mbororos that are maiming, slaughtering the civilian population in Ambazonia. So Ngalajera it is an open secret that Ngalajera is a highly protected armed gun dealer protected by the government of Cameroon. I think those who are questioning Ambazonians for picking up or blackmailing them, they should understand Ngalajera is a clear epitome, an example of all those Cameroon, because I tell people until now they are believing. All CPDM officials have their own soldiers with weapons. So I'm bringing this question to you, Barrister Mbeseha. How serious is this issue and how urgent should Ambazonians be involved to make sure that this individual is neutralized? Please talk to us.
Well, I think Ngalajera is there, but that is in Kambe, that is Donga Mantung. There are other Ngalajerats in different counties as well. Shall we neutralize? We must. Doesn't mean that we must kill him. It is possible. But can we take him academically out of action? Certainly we must. Because, you see, from what Barrister Nsoh says and from the pictures they showed there, it would suggest that Ngara Gerard, whether he ever practiced law and won a case or not, at least he read some law. Very basic, he read some law. And what would expect him, having read some law, to understand what is going on? He is not doing it because he doesn't know. He is doing it because he wants to get money out of what he is doing. Like other traitors in other counties, be it Fako, be it Meme, be it the BLM. Traitors are not illiterates. Traitors are in general not farmers. They are not street sweepers. They are intellectuals who sell us for a reason. And so again, this is Donga Mantung. Many people don't know, and most don't even know. Donga Mantung became Donga Mantung when we joined the big. Until that, it was called Nkambe Division. Nkambe Division was one of the 6 divisions of the Southern Cameroon. Sanfe, Bamenda, Nkambe, Wum, Kumba, and Victoria. And Nkambe specifically as a division was created in 1946. So they are part and parcel of our history, the deep-rooted course of our history. They were created in 1946, the year the United Kingdom took over the administration of the Southern Cameroon as territory. So they are as old. Nkambe, today called Donga Mantung, is as old as the trust territory of Southern Cameroon. For that reason, we don't expect to not find traitors. They find them there, as I was saying in the last segment. We have to neutralize them. At least, if not physically, it should be intellectually, it should be politically. They must be neutralized, and we can do that. We have the tools to do just that. And so, again, this is an adventurer. I'm not sure that this young man, if he ever practiced any law, he ever won any case worth even 100. But he has become a billionaire. He has money paid to him from Yaoundé to do the dirty work of Yaoundé. A treaty, Ngongo and the rest will not be doing what they are doing to us if they didn't find Ngala Gerard, if they didn't find Tabe Tando in Manfe, if they didn't this our brothers and sisters, the Dutch and Geoma and the rest in Victoria. They are all over the place. Intellectuals, people who pass for intelligent people, educated people, university professors, lawyers.
Greedy people.
They pass for Ambazonians. They pass for human beings. Actually, devils incarnate. Yesterday we had something on Verizon where we talked about people who were born angels, properly educated or not. They included Bonglong. They included people like, what do I mean to say? Like Cardinal Toomey and a host of others. These are people born to save us on earth here, but with angelic minds, with the spirit of what a human being is. These ones are a contrast to Ngajira, who is not alone, I've insisted. Ngajira is not alone. But we're insisting on him because today we're in Cambe. Where he comes from. He comes from there. Once we go to Victoria, we'll find enough number of them there. Once we go to Manfred, we'll find enough there. And so when we go to the BLM and so on and so forth, we're going to find them there. I think,
but Mbeseha, because of time, we'll come back to that. I want us to get into the intricacies of what is in the heat right now. The president's message of yesterday that came few hours after the exceptional manifestation of the Ambazonian State Army on the ground. And Onye has compiled some of these analyses of the president's speech yesterday, and she has taken out time to do a thorough investigation, or should I say a thorough compilation of the exceptionalism of the Ambazonian State Army. It's important that during such a time, Ambazonians are invigorated. Ambazonians are inspired by this great achievement. At a time when Cameroon is trying to push the agenda that we are close to some sort of a normalcy, that is when Ambazonians are tactfully neutralizing armored cars and hosts of Colonial Army. We'll be back with our analysis right after this from Onye Okwala.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices.
Let our fallen heroes and heroines guide and shield our men and women. Let their ultimate sacrifice be the reason we change the game and give our enemies what they have been giving us. Ambazonia needs to protect its people from the terrorist troops of La République du Cameroun. The time is now to do just that.
We are enough, so let's draft, and draft. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It's time for Donga Mantung County.
All right, so before we head into the draft proper, let's take a look at the emergency meeting held yesterday, where President Samuel Sako addressed the Ambazonian community in a passionate and emotionally charged speech. First, he started by confronting critics and emphasizing unity within the movement. He expressed frustration over being blamed when things go wrong, while others take credit when there is progress. Sako made it clear that he is doing his best under difficult circumstances and urged those who question his leadership to speak honestly rather than attack unfairly. Responding to threats of resignation from members of his team, President Sako dismissed such ultimatums as unhelpful, insisting that the struggle for Ambazonia is not his personal enterprise. He reminded the audience that no one's involvement is a favor and that the revolution belongs to the people, not individuals. He said that those who joined and those who left will not define the outcome of the movement and urged people to stop using resignation as a weapon. Let's get that.
I want to thank you, all delegates and participants, my dear brothers and sisters, all distinguished participants. You see the jam in Fako today? Very true. The problem is that when there is bad news, Sako is responsible. But when it is good news, Massa, when I leave that thing, that picking they do their thing. If that's not witchcraft, what does it sound like? Like me or not, I'm doing my best. But I beg every of my haters to do better than me, instead of spewing venom. The way you came here is the way I also came here. This is not my enterprise. Why should anyone threaten me with resigning as if they do so, my enterprise will collapse? Please, let us stop this entertainment. It is not funny. When people come to me and the one little thing wants to happen, I will resign now. I will resign now. Really? This is not my enterprise. Today I will be very sincere with all of you people. Everybody. Stop threatening me when you will resign. It's not my enterprise. You want to resign, go ahead. Your joining did not save anybody. Your departure will not kill anybody. We just met here to do a walk. You are championing your own, I'm championing my own. We want to save Ambazonia. That is the fact. No one is doing a favor to the other. No one. If we fail, all of us failed. Nobody is doing a favor to the other person. Let me welcome all of you at least to this emergency meeting.
President Sako highlighted the growing respect Ambazonia has regained on the international stage and described September as a turning point, with the upcoming Ambazonian Strategic Assembly playing a crucial role. He called on every community to send delegates physically, stating that some matters are too sensitive for virtual platform. But according to him, anyone who argues against the need for a functional government is undermining the revolution itself. President stressed the importance of supporting the national treasury and reiterated the strong conviction, not comfort, is what sustains a revolution. On the issue of the Kansas City 3, President Sako outlined several actions taken under his leadership, including advocacy, legal engagement, and financial support for the families. He called for Ambazonians to show up in Kansas City 3 on the 1st of October in solidarity for the heroes.
We have already succeeded in making Ambazonia so a nation with a restored self-identity. We have regained our respect. I'm so proud of where we took this struggle from and where we stand now. All those who insult us cannot point to better results than ours. In fact, many have no records at all, except for those that they had under our supervision and our oversight. Comrades, September 2025 is a pivotal month in the history of our revolution. We have organized the Ambazonia Stakeholder Strategic Assembly, slated for September 27th to the 30th, actually, 2025. Some requested we postpone this for later, but I think the timing is perfect. We need to meet before La Republique goes aflame. This is the time to begin vetting delegates or representatives to represent our counties, our LGAs, and our federal constituencies. Participants must be cleared to attend. Criteria include active contributions through county, LGAs, and federal drafts, ethical conduct consistent with the dignity of our struggle, loyalty to our revolution and its institutions. At the assembly, I will share with participants some of the groundbreaking achievements we have recorded so far, matters that must remain from mouth to ear, not for the airwaves. I must also speak openly about our comrades in jail from Goketunja, the ones we call now the Kansas City 3. Some do-nothing accusers claim I have done nothing for them. That's a lie. Let me put the record straight today. The Kansas City 3 were arrested in November 2022, 2 years and 9 months ago. While some withdrew out of fear, I stepped forward to declare that it was a wrongful arrest. Some who criticize me today will never have dared to say on television the things I have said and I continue to say in support of our comrades. I personally visited Kansas City, though we did not get to see them in jail. I authorized stipends to be sent to the wives. We engaged 2 lobby firms to work on their case. We submitted petitions. I wrote a petition that the rest supported to the Attorney General Mary Garland and the Secretary of State Anthony Blinken. We published articles, my own inclusive, in authoritative outlets like Kansas City Star, The Hill, The Stars and Stripes, the Africa Report, to give this matter visibility. We secured support from the National Congress of Black Lawyers, National Association of Democratic Lawyers, the Black Society of Lawyers in the UK, and the African Bar Association through the influence of Professor Emeritus Linus Hines. The Nkokechinja leadership, led by Comrade Amos and Dr. Mbi, pushed for a new attorney at the cost of $75,000. Without my knowledge, when I was brought in the loop, I oppose this as wasteful. The problem is mostly political, not judicial. Yet these organizers insisted that they had $10,000 curled mostly from their draft. Our national treasury provided, and our own sacrifices provided a balance of $20,000 to make a $30,000 down payment. I warned that it would not work, and I was right. The motion filed, as was reported, was abandoned by the judge, and the money is gone. That is called down payment. The attorney is now requesting for the remainder $45,000. Does that make sense? Instead, my strategy was to bring the National Congress of Black Lawyers that had already hinted Professor Hines that they were interested into the case, to leverage their political muscle in an election year, 2024, to pressure Biden appointee. That strategy is still unfolding with the new administration. Today, with a new administration in Washington, the matter is even changing radically for the better. Just this week, 2 conservative outlets, the Manhattan News and the CDM, published an investigative report clearly indicting the Biden administration for weaponizing the justice system in favor of his political friends, in this case, colluding with a dictator against these 3 Americans. You may go to Twitter and spread the article if you really love to see our comrades out soon. So when these detractors now say I have done or I'm doing nothing for our beloved comrades, I want to ask them, what have you done for them more than me? Talk is cheap. Action is costly. There is now a surprise hearing slated for October 1st. Even the lawyers are surprised. I can say it with a broad chest that our efforts in Washington are paying off. I call on all within and around the state of Kansas to be present in the court on the 1st of October to support our heroes. Let us stand with all of them.
Well, the meeting closed with a question and answer session, giving participants a chance to voice concerns and seek clarification. Throughout the session, President Sako remained firm on the need for collective responsibility and focused leadership as the revolution moves into a critical phase. Well, before I hand over the mic, let's take a closer look at what happened in Fako yesterday. According to reports, 8 colonial soldiers from neighboring La Republic to Cameroon were neutralized in Malande, Muyuka on the morning of Friday, September 5th, 2025, after their patrol vehicle drove over an IED. The ambush also claimed the life of a 20-year-old young soldier fresh out of training. The attack that claimed the lives of these forces is said to have been carried out as a challenge to the Colonial divisional officer of Muyuka, who said there were only 5 Ambazonian fighters left in his area. The morning of September 5, 2025 became a theater of carnage in Malande, a village in Muyuka located within Ambazonia's Atlantic zone. As the French Cameroon soldiers were on their way to take their morning shift, their vehicle was ambushed by an improvised explosive device planted along a road in the rubber estate CDC camp. The attack killed at least 7 soldiers instantly, and a young 20-year-old boy, fresh out of training just 4 months ago, was amongst the dead. To the residents, the incident underscores a grim reality of colonial government forces who have been carefully trekking along suspected axes where the ASA have their strongholds. Yet, yesterday was not their lucky day. Popular opinion holds that this predictable violence is direct result of a war defined by escalating attacks and a colonial state's strategic failure. Following the deadly attack, sources have confirmed that the French Cameroon's government forces launched a vast and unannounced patrol in surrounding villages as of today. Well, according to reports from the ground, colonial military thugs have arrested 64 civilians and injured 2 others who resisted attack in an act of brutal retaliation. The unannounced operation, which started around 10 a.m. local time, swept through the villages of Owemalande, Central Moyuka, Ikata, Yoke, Bafia, and Mautu, all located within the Atlantic zone. These retaliatory raids, a form of collective punishment against innocent Ambazonian civilians, are a documented pattern in the over 8-year-long war where the French Cameroon's military thugs have dedicated their time and decided to take out their frustration on terrorizing the local population. Mr. Tarh, well, these are 2 major reports we could talk on tonight due to timing. We have other ones on insecurity, but let's get your thoughts on these 2 first.
That's amazing, Onye. Thank you very much for that. We'll be getting to the editorial. This is quite interesting. I know, Barrister Fru, you can't wait to make some commentaries on that. But let's hear a little bit again from Donga Mantung. How is Donga Mantung receiving the message of the president of yesterday, please? I'd like to hear from you, Dr. Tata.
Well, we received the message with clarity. We have 2 things here to make our audience know, the people of Donga Mantung know, that the days of falsehood are numbered. And the truth can be hidden at the backside, but the truth will creep gradually to the forefront, and we will be liberated. And that's why we are gathered here today as Gideon's army to make sure that Ambazonia will be liberated. Thank you.
Amazing. I know you people want to talk about what has happened in Malindi and in Moyoka, but Tim Mbeseha already started. But let's hold on with that. We're going to finalize the show with that. Let me hear from you, Barrister Fru. We had, like Onye described there, an emotional moment with the president yesterday. Lots were said. It related with diplomacy. It had to do with the achievements on the ground, with the government institute back within the divide and conquer French Cameroon. It had a lot to do even with our prisoners of war. So much to be said about it. But as the Attorney General of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, tell us how you've received that message, of what significance is it at this time to the people of Amazonia.
Thank you, Paddy. The president's speech yesterday was very significant. That's why at the beginning I said I went to bed and I slept soundly. Because, listen, if we get to Boya, only 3, 4, 5 of us, that's okay. Anybody in this government or in this struggle who wants to resign can go ahead and resign. You don't have to threaten the president with your resignation. We are past that stage. We are going home. We are past that stage. You cannot do anything to our president. You can resign for all we care. Our president is resolute. He is focused and is working 24/7. If you don't want to work and you want to resign, you're resigning from what? Go ahead and resign. If we are only a few of us, we will take our people to Boya. That's number 1. Number 2, these remnants of coup plotters who have been pretending to be working for Donga for Ngokutunja, especially the cancer tree. You go and negotiate a defense with a lawyer for $75,000, and you took the money that we drafted. It was not enough, and now we are owing a lawyer $45,000. You will pay that money. The Federal Republic of Ambazonia did not contract you to look for lawyers for its officials who are sitting in jail. Those are very important officials of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia who are in cancer jails. And we didn't ask you to go, you remnant coup plotters who have fallen out with the struggle, and you go pretending as if you are still talking for Ngokutunja, and you go and contract the debt, and you expect the Federal Republic of Ambazonia to pay that debt. We will not pay. I am informing those who did that you look for the money and pay the lawyer. We are not concerned. The Kansas City 3 will be released this year. Whether those of you who are pretending, coup plotters who are pretending to represent Ngokutunja, you will be surprised. You will be surprised to see the liberation of our people. Thanks to the effort and the continuous work of our president. He has taken this matter personally, and he has put in a lot. You yourself, Paddy, you heard the list of international law firms, law organizations that have been working on this case. The president has been sending money to the families of our officials. The president has been very supportive and he continues to do the work that he is supposed to do to have our people released, and they will be released and they will come back and join us. But for those of you coup plotters who went and contracted with a lawyer to pay $75,000 for what? You will pay that debt. And the Federal Republic of Ambazonia owes no lawyer that amount of money. The president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia has put in capital on international law organizations around the world. The detention of our people, the 3 people in Kansas City, is known around the world thanks to these advocates around the world who represent major law organizations around the world. It is not the effort of coup plotters who will go behind and pretend to hire a lawyer. What has a lawyer done to earn $75,000? But that is their problem, Paddy. That is their problem. We will not pay. And I will make sure that no penny goes out.
And that's it, by Fru, when you have people who some are attempting to do some diplomacy, they are trying to do funny things. The objective, I know, I don't want to call names because I don't want to give any platform for anybody that I think is a short-sighted person. But I know exactly when it started, how it started, because by some very special grace, Dr. Mungwa is in the Zoom now. I wish I had Dr. Mungwa here. It's important when we're having this kind of conversation. If I knew, I would have insisted, though he's busy, for him to really join us in this conversation. We see what is done on a daily basis. You see, Dr. Mungwa will never do that kind of foolishness because of the strategy that is in place. The international lawyers had already advised the government. If we want to talk about lawyers that have fought cases like this, like Hines, that's a man with a profile that everybody knows. They had advised the government on the strategy to follow. This was more of a political thing. You don't go and take young lawyers who are trying to make money and ask them to go and defend, because it's not going to work. They're just going to take your money and eat, and your people will be there. They can even prolong the case just so they can make some money. So there was a strategy in place. But pressure comes from some of the families and some individuals, like you said, remnant of they were good serves and people that they know better. Some have attempted some charade they call diplomacy. So by so doing, they would go and do something. According to them, they were going to release these people and then to come and say the president did nothing. But I know how much the government has spent to get these lobbyists and lawyers that were working strategically. It is not in my position. I wish Dr. Mungwa would have been here. I would have provoked him because me and him know the information. I would have provoked him to speak. It's not in my place to give that information. But this is sad by Fru. This is sad by Fru. I want you to really speak on Barrister Mbeseha. I want you to really speak on this mentality of everybody positioning themselves to do even things that they don't know how to do. And the strategy the government is using, you are a legal mind. You should be able to judge it from an honest standpoint. Was it just the government trying to control things? Or was it the government trying to minimize resources? Or was it the government picking an option that it deemed fit for a situation like this? Please, Barrister Mbeseha, talk to us.
Well, again, you're asking me to speak. I think I will speak in a larger context because the Kansas City 3 are just a tip of the iceberg. Are you listening to me? Or is it talking? Are you listening to me?
Yes, we're hearing you.
We can hear you.
Yes, I was trying to say this. We talk about the Kansas City 3. That means there are 3 of them in Kansas City. When you look at it globally, before the Kansas City 3, we had the Naira 10, and we have hundreds of others who are still in jail. But Nsoh might know, and I'm sure he knows, how much money we pumped in to get the Naira 10 out. The resources we put in there under President Sako, they didn't get out. We have pumped in all what we can do as a government, and we're continuing as far as the Kansas City 3 are concerned. They are still there, but they will get out. But my caution is simply this. If, despite what we are doing publicly and diplomatically, any one of us, any one Ambazonian, from Gokutunja, from Manyo, from Cameroon, in Ambazonia, has the extra power that we call witchcraft at home, to use your wish and go out and extract the Naira 10 from Congo, or to use your wish and go and extract the Kansas City 3 from Kansas City, we will all say we have done a good job. But the caution is, which is what we have done, something has gone wrong, is announcing to the world that this government under President Sako has done absolutely nothing. It's not just falsehood, it is malicious falsehood to hurt our integrity. With the same narrative that I've seen somewhere else, that since the Naira 10 were adopted, President Sako did nothing other than answer him and say, President, Excellency, that's malicious falsehood. It's not a strategy. And so again, it is our fight for being in together. And as far as the Kansas City 3 are concerned, I remember, let me say this publicly, when this thing happened initially, 2022, by American law, these people are given lawyers by the state. And we said, okay, we could live with those and then do other things. We were told that some families of the Kansas City 3 wanted to own private lawyers. My opinion was sought privately. I said private lawyers, they might do a good job, but they're essentially very, very expensive. But if, this was my advice, if the family thought that they could get private lawyers to go along with what lawyers were assigned to them, that would be a welcome effort. I never believed, I never even knew that they were going to take this financial burden to bring it to us. But I'm not a decider of who pays or doesn't pay that money. My problem is simply that as far as the Kansas City 3 are concerned, there are some of us who have sought to own them, their trophies.
Yeah.
They want to run across the line, the victory line. So we brought them out. The government did nothing. We were the heroes.
The government did nothing.
No problem. Bring them out. Our president will join you to celebrate. But I caution and insist. Don't say that we did nothing, because that is not the truth. It is malicious. It is malicious, intended to hurt somebody, intended to paint something you don't like black. That is just being dishonest. That is just being dishonest. And so that it is. That is what it is. As far as the Kansas City 3 are concerned. That's what it is. And they go by extension to all the other people
amazing.
In Bafoussam. There were hundreds. The Kansas City 3 are not so different from the ones in Kodigi. They are not so different from the ones in Boya and Bamenda. They are just victims of this war. That we are doing our best. We have the BLM people there. If I successfully brought out one, I will bring and say, well, I brought out somebody. I will not say the government did nothing. If I said so, they'll be dishonest of me. And so again, our brothers and sisters who have sought to own the Kansas City 3, it was the wrong strategy. Totally wrong. So if the Kansas City come out tomorrow, which will come
by Tim Mbeseha, because of time, I'd like us to make some progress. But this character, we have seen it over and over again. It keeps repeating in different ways and forms. And these people go even on the ground. In spite of that, Ambazonia, through the resilient leadership we're having, still triumphs. You've seen the triumphs in every aspect. Just the other day, for a lot of people who are not aware, a lobby from the United States of America enhanced a report against the Biden administration. It's on Twitter. They are a major platform. We're going to have you, the lawyers, analyze that probably next week or within the week. We're going to take, I'm going through, I need to consult with government to know to what extent we can analyze it. But that's what they're not, that's a major voice in the United States speaking. And that's a diplomatic achievement. And it doesn't end there. It's an old video I want to play as we talk on what Fako did yesterday and today in Victoria. La République du Cameroun is in French. I wish we had interpreted it. But for those who don't understand French, we interpret. These are the people of La République du Cameroun actually mourning. This is old, but that is what happened every day. Some families have simply just lost loved ones. Young boys, you saw Onye reporting there, a guy of only 20. Young people going on the battlefield and never returning, especially in Bui. Bui is a land of no return. They get in, they don't get out. They get in, they don't get out. Where are they going to? Nobody can account for them. The media in Cameroon is manipulating the facts. But we are determined to give these facts. Donga Mantung is also doing a very great job. So let's watch this and analyze that as we conclude.
Je voudrais vous prier, monsieur le représentant des forces armées ici, de bien vouloir transmettre ce message des familles éplorées, les familles pauvres, les familles qui perdent leurs enfants de cette manière. Nous vous prions de transmettre au chef de l'État, qui est le chef des armées, à monsieur le ministre et à toutes les personnes de nous aider à ne plus pleurer nos enfants. Que ce sang qui se verse, nous vous prions. L'État camerounais a toutes les possibilités d'arrêter cette guerre meurtrière. Je prie vraiment, au nom de l'Église, au nom de cette famille. Il y a d'autres soldats qui sont tombés à Moumoudemba. J'ai les photos. Ils sont couchés, des jeunes. Que le chef d'État nous aide à ne plus pleurer nos enfants. Transmettez ce message. Transmettez ce message. Ne l'arrêtez pas. Dites aux instances supérieures. Transmettez ce message. Sinon, on continuera à pleurer nos enfants. Nous ne voulons plus de cette guerre. On nous ose. Non, non et non. Voilà le cri des familles. Parce que les enfants qui meurent, ce sont les enfants des pauvres. Je dois le dire. Ce sont les enfants des pauvres qui meurent. Un enfant d'un général n'est jamais mort. Un enfant d'un colonel n'est jamais mort. Un enfant n'est jamais mort. Les enfants des pauvres, excusez, c'est le cri d'un fils qui pleure. Ne continuons pas. Nous sommes tous Camerounais. Arrêtons. Arrêtons.
So what we were watching there was a Catholic priest somewhere in La République du Cameroon with his homily and message there, his creed. Actually, the summary is that the children of the poor are the ones dying on the field. No minister has their child. It's not like the United States of America that you have Biden's son will go to war or McCain goes to war. Frank Biya sits there, will not go on the battlefield. My question right now, which is rhetorical, but I know some of you have answers, is the people of Ambazonia are fighting for their sovereignty, for their stolen independence. What are these guys fighting for? For a man who is suffering from dementia, for a 100-year-old president who has taken everything of their youth? What are they fighting for? So this is a pertinent question that deserves some answers. Dr. Tata, please, I begin with you. And we take it very quickly so that we can take the editorial and hand over the mic for the draft to begin.
Yeah, that is why we must stand on the truth, and the truth will set us free. We are here again as a county to say that what Endele said so many years ago, Dr. Emmanuel Lifafa Endele, he said that we should stand for the right thing, and that's why we are standing for the right thing. Ma Endele has gone, the VP Ate has gone. They say we should continue to stand on the truth until we get to the promised land. And that's why we are here. Donga Mantung, here we come. Thank you.
Barrister Fru, please.
Paddy, I want to say this. History would record that it happened in Fako. History will record that in one evening, 7 were killed in Fako. They have been killing our people, extrajudicial killings all over the country of Ambazonia. They brought this war to us. Like the princess, they have the knife and the yam. We are waiting for them at the negotiating table. What happened in Fako sends a message to the world, a different message to the world, other than the one that La Republic has sent, saying that things were getting normal. It was getting normal. There's no longer any war in Nsoh. That is the proof. The world has seen it. And this morning, Paddy, this morning, I saw a dead body in the streets of Victoria. And everybody in Victoria is indoors. That is the world situation in which we find ourselves. And La Republic cannot continue to lie to the world that the war is over when it is not. Where were they going? Military, in a military truck, or whether it's a armored car, on inside Ambazonia, inside Malende, where were they going? Or in the CDC rubber, going to Malende. Why? Because they were going to fight us. They got it. Today, they are arresting innocent people. This is the work of desperation, desperate people. When you cannot win a situation, you take it on the weak. You are going to catch civilians that the civilians have what to do with this war. You are there arresting people in Moyuka and the villages with your so-called Kale. The world is seeing. You have an option, La Republic of Cameroon. After the 12th of October, I don't know whoever is going to win, but I know that the old man has planted everything, has made everything to win. We will be waiting for them at the negotiating table. Whether they are burning or they are not burning because of October 12th, we will wait for them at the negotiating table. They have no choice. That's all I can say, Paddy.
That's amazing. You've just asked some very serious questions there, and it's important to get answers from Tim Mbeseha. Tim Mbeseha, please.
Again, thank you once more. You see, I take my cue essentially from what that young priest said. We'll spend weeks, if not months, talking about discussing the role of bishops and archbishops, moderators and pastors. But the message delivered by that young priest is very, very young in his physical age, very, very young in the priesthood. But once he had the opportunity, he will say a mass to bury somebody, not an ordinary person, to bury a dead soldier. And I'm sure in his congregation there, the people who sat there, they included generals, higher ranking officials of the military. And he was on the pulpit where nobody was going to, it was not a question and answer session. And he told the truth that nobody has been willing to tell. First, he called on the president, end this war. Why? The president is the one who declared the war. He says, end this war. You can end it if you want to. That's a young priest telling him. That's the bare truth. Other Cameroonian politicians will say, well, the rebels took up arms. They did all this. No. That young man told him, Mr. President, that's what he said. End this war. You started it. The second message he gave them was, these boys are burying him. He's dead. He's not the son of a general. There were generals there. He's not the son of a senior politician who was sitting there in that son of an ordinary person. The message that the bishops have refused to tell. That's the truth that the moderators and other religious leaders have refused to say. But that's the message coming from a very young priest. How old was Jesus Christ when he told the truth to everybody in the world? He was barely 30 years old. Truth has no age. Truth is truth. Let it be told as it is. And again, if our pastors, if our bishops, if our moderators can learn anything from the newly convert, the young arrivals to the church, like that young priest, telling the truth as it is. As we say in our common language, tell the truth and shame the devil. They would have learned a lot. The war is ongoing. People are dying. It depends on who will bring the end to it. The only person who will do it is the president of the republic. He didn't even say Paul Biya, he said Mr. President. Because after October, there will be somebody called president, either selected or elected. That president will have the power to end the war by coming to address the root causes. Nobody else will do it other than the government. That government is led by a president. And so that's the cure, I think, from that young man's thing. That's the cure, I think, should be our concluding remarks, because it says across the board. And by my own conclusion, I will say again, we were talking about the Kansas City trip. I would rather suggest one thing in conclusion. Going forward, when this book get released, either the Kansas City 3, the Nara 10, or any other ones, we shall all sing our victory song. Our victory song shall be, we have all won. Not to say, I won the explosion of Dr. Tata. I won alone without Tata, or without Tarh, or without Paddy. We all won. We shall not castigate anybody. Because even those people did not give money, they prayed.
Yeah.
People who did not pray, they demonstrated. That's what calling for demonstrations. That was their own contribution. They made phone calls. So, liberation is not the job of one man. You don't take credit for yourself alone. The credit shall be ours. Like the suffering is ours. I don't know those guys called Kansas City 3, but I'm crying and dying here for him. I've never met any of the Nara 10. I don't know them except from Galamfo. But we cried when they took them out. The cry is our joint cry. The victory shall be ours collectively. Over to you.
Amazing. So before we even conclude with the editorial, I like to bring, I want to believe that Star Smart is ready to his editorial right now. I want to bring something to our attention. If you look at the events that are happening at the home front during the past days, you realize that both sides of the arm are doing rehearsals. In Kumba the other day, a man killed a student. My great suspicion after reporting the stories on the ground now for the past 7 years is that when you find a student is targeted, especially with the uniform, it's the Cameroon military. It has shown there are lots of accounts for it. But what is the message that the Cameroon military is saying? It's saying that they are manipulating you to go out for elections come October, and they're going to kill you so that they can sabotage the Ambazonian fighters. And there could also be a chance, I said in the beginning of this program, there could also be a chance that a stray bullet, even from the side of the Ambazonian State Army, will take you. So how you, the civilian, remain the victim? That's the sad part and the truth of this war. So what's the solution? Is to stay out of harm's way. Do not believe what Cameroon is telling you, that there is no mercy. This happened in Fako, very close to the house. The governor doesn't even live in Boya. Just so you know, he comes to Boya ceremonially. He lives in Douala. If this could happen in Victoria, where they in Donga Mantung come October. I am not the commander-in-chief of any of these armies. I'm just giving you authentic information that I have. Ngongo is reinforcing his army on the ground. The government of Ambazonia is reinforcing its army on the ground ahead of the D-Day in October. Stay at home. Let's get the editorial now, and we'll round up this program.
The World Draft once more is coming to your county. Stand up and be counted. No greater victory was ever achieved than by greater sacrifices.
Let our fallen heroes and heroines guide and shield our men and women. Let their ultimate sacrifice be the reason we change the game and give our enemies what they have been giving us. Ambazonia needs to protect its people from the terrorist troops of La République du Cameroun. The time is now to do just that.
we are enough. So let's draft, and draft. Our existence as a people depend on that.
It's time for Donga Mantung County.
Well, let's take a look at the county drafting today. Donga Mantung County, looking at its historicity, we see that the name itself, it carries a name tied to colonial intrusion. In 1911, a German explorer known as Mr. Donga established a station and hospital in Mbem, Nwa, and on the banks of a river the locals called Mantum. With the construction of the first hydroelectric plant there, the Germans regarded him and his project as a reference point for their penetration of the southern Cameroon's high plateau. But this development came at a human cost. Natives were forced into back-breaking labor, particularly in the excavation of the treacherous Rum Rock Road, a project executed manually under duress. Now, what Germany celebrated as progress was in truth exploitation, setting a precedent for how external powers would repeatedly define and dictate life in the southern Cameroons. But then after Germany's defeat in 1916, the story of Donga Mantung was reshaped by new colonial masters. The territory, once part of German Cameroon, was partitioned between Britain and France under the 1922 League of Nations mandate. Now, while Britain promised to prepare southern Cameroons for self-rule, it instead imported its Nigerian model of indirect rule, empowering chiefs and traditional rulers while excluding educated elites. This left local administration in the hands of leaders who often lacked resources and training for socio-economic development. Well, by 1949, Britain introduced reforms that merged fiefdoms into divisional government units, eventually creating provinces with 3 divisions. Now, the letter being today's Donga Mantung, which was Nkambe before, yet true self-determination remained elusive. Following independence movement, Southern Cameroon was instead dragged into a botched union with La République du Cameroun. On December 30th, 1968, President Ahidjo's decree transformed Nkambe into Donga Mantung County, Donga Mantung Division, according to the previous setting. Later, by decree of 1972, the name was changed to Donga Mantung from Donga and Mantung. The county subdivisions Ako in 1977, Undu 1992, and Isage in 1992 were all birthed by presidential decrees from Yaoundé. Now, this reveals not self-governance but forced identity reorganization, a deliberate colonial design to fragment and control. But then, amid the colonial scars, Donga Mantung shines as a land of profound cultural wealth. The county, positioned strategically at the crossroads between southern Cameroon and Nigeria, is home to diverse peoples, including the Tikar, Fulani, Chamba, Nsoh, and the Boom. We have the Tikar, who are famed for their artistry in pottery and wood carving, with intricate designs passed from generation to generation. The Fulani semi-nomadic pastoralists sustain vast cattle herds while maintaining vibrant traditions expressed through colorful attires and nomadic resilience. The Chamba, skilled in agriculture, cultivate maize, millet, and beans while preserving their distinctive mud and thatch architecture and expressive cultural dances. Then, so part of the broader Grassfield ethnic group, maintained complex social systems, strict customs, and a rich oral tradition that binds generations together. These communities form a cultural mosaic that not only defines Donga Mantung County, but also demonstrates the resilience of Ambazonia's people in preserving identity against waves of imposed governance. Now, beyond its people, we see that Donga Mantung possesses unmatched natural beauty, and ecological richness. The county is home to Mount Oku, West Africa's second highest peak, a sanctuary of rare plant species and breathtaking vistas. Its waterfalls, such as the Mbororo Cascades, offer natural wonders that could rival any global tourist destinations, that is, if developed under local stewardship. Now, this landscape underscores the irony of Donga Mantung's history, a land endowed with natural and cultural wealth, yet repeatedly stripped of agency by external decree. But then Donga Mantung County's story only mirrors the broader Ambazonian struggle, an identity shaped not by the will of its people, but by colonial powers and decrees from afar. Yet beneath those imposed structures lies a resilient heart, diverse cultures, natural beauty, and a history of resistance to domination. Well, as Ambazonians reflect on their journey in 2025, Donga Mantung County stands as both a reminder of past exploitation and a symbol of what true self-determination can really restore. With that, we'll hand this over back to you now, Mr. Tarh.
Thank you very much for that, Star Smart. We've actually come to the end of this segment, but I just want to take a few seconds to talk to, perhaps you did not start this program, perhaps you did not understand. I'm going to try to be simple as much as possible. What is happening on the ground right now is just rehearsals of what will happen in October. I'm just presenting facts. I don't have any intention to create fear. You have the right to make your choice. I am a reporter that is investigating the news, and I'm giving you facts. On the two sides of the coin, you have two armies getting ready for October. One hand, the Colonial Army wants to organize an election, even though they know nobody is willing to vote, at all costs. And they are recruiting even new soldiers. You have seen 20-year-olds, 16-year-olds, giving them guns, even children who cannot operate guns, to make sure that they will legitimize the fraud they call election, which we know is a selection. And they are going to kill many more souls to do so. Congo has that plan. We know them. They have the plan. On the other side, the legitimate government of Ambazonia is doing everything possible to make sure that they help the people to stay out of this election. So what do you, the civilian population, do? You stay at home. There'll be lockdowns. There's no need for election. You don't want the election because Biya has already won and we know it. So I talk for people where they hear, they say, a flyway is strong head. Now they follow the man enter for grief. I've said mine. The government will be releasing the dates that they want you to stay at home. Do yourself just to stay at home. The fighters will never ever come into your houses or attack any civilian. But if they are trying to attack the Cameroon army, you could just be a victim of a stray bullet. So please stay at home. Until next Saturday, we are drafting Donga Mantung tonight. So if you are still watching us on Facebook or YouTube or any of our platforms, it's high time you join the Zoom meeting. Thank you.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.